Uchiha Mercenaries History. In the glorious history of the Uchiha clan, there's a dark chapter that doesn't get talked about much. The time when they were mercenaries during the Warring States period. Before becoming legends of the Hidden Leaf, the Uchiha were a ninja clan that sold their Sharingan-powered skills to the highest bidder. Their Sharingan, the clan's signature weapon, made them one of the most sought-after forces on the battlefield. And guess who they kept running into? The Senju. Just like the Uchiha, the Senju were top-tier mercenaries of their time. If one side hired the Senju, their enemy would almost always hire the Uchiha. This constant rivalry laid the foundation for their generations-long blood feud. Madara Uchiha, in his memories, spoke about losing his younger brothers in these hired battles, a painful reminder of the cost of their way of life. This mercenary era also explains why the Uchiha had an unusually high rate of awakening the Sharingan. Constant battles, loss, and emotional pain created the perfect conditions for unlocking their legendary eyes. Unlike other clans with bloodline limits, the Uchiha paid for their power with blood, suffering, and heartbreak. Just a second, if you've made it this far, let me say, you're the reason we keep pushing every day to bring you the best Naruto content. The world of ninjas still has so many secrets, untold stories, and forgotten characters, but thanks to you, we get the chance to explore and share it all. A simple click on the subscribe button might seem small, but it's like a huge energy boost for us, just like how Naruto gets chakra from his teammates. Join us on this journey, become part of the Naruto fan community, and let's experience all the amazing things in the ninja world together. Data bio. Now, Izanagi without Mangekyo. The legendary forbidden jutsu, Izanagi and Izanami, don't actually require the Mangekyo Sharingan to be used. Danzo Shimura proved this in the most extreme way during his fight against Sasuke, where he spammed Izanagi using only regular Sharingan eyes. Danzo had 10 ordinary Sharingan implanted in his arm and used them one by one to activate Izanagi repeatedly. Each eye gave him 60 seconds of invincibility, meaning he could avoid death for almost 10 minutes in total. Turning Sharingan into disposable consumables was an insult to the Uchiha legacy. While Uchiha members like Itachi and Sasuke treated their Sharingan as a sacred gift, Danzo treated them like one-time use tools. Every time he activated Izanagi, one of his eyes would go blind permanently. But with 10 in stock, he didn't seem to care. What's even more interesting is what this means for Izanami, the counter jutsu to Izanagi. The only time we ever see Izanami used is by Itachi, who had already awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan. But there's no direct evidence that Izanami requires the Mangekyo. Logically speaking, if Izanagi can be cast with regular Sharingan, then Izanami, designed specifically to stop it, should be usable the same way. This fact is often overlooked because of the flashy abilities of the Mangekyo, like Amaterasu and Susanoo. But Danzo's use of this forbidden technique sheds new light on the true potential of the basic Sharingan. And it leads us to the next secret, Izanagi, Izanami widespread. Unlike the modern belief that Izanagi is an ultra-rare and secret technique, it was actually widely used by Uchiha warriors as a survival tool during the chaotic Warring States period. With the power to turn reality into illusion, Izanagi became the Uchiha's go-to weapon in mercenary battles. Unlike Danzo or Obito, who used it cautiously, ancient Uchiha warriors treated it like an insurance policy, a last resort to flip death into victory and boost the clan's reputation. This key piece of history helps explain why the Uchiha quickly rose to become one of the two strongest clans of their time, rivaling the Senju. But the problem? Too many Uchiha became arrogant and over-reliant on this cheat code for survival. The price for using Izanagi was brutal. Every activation permanently blinded one Sharingan. Over time, widespread abuse of the technique weakened the clan, as many warriors lost both eyes and became powerless. To counter this issue, a new jutsu was created, Izanami, specifically designed to stop those who abused Izanagi. But the catch? No matter which one you used, you still ended up blind. For the Uchiha, their eyes were everything, and these two techniques were just too overpowered, completely breaking the natural balance of life and death. This forced the Uchiha elders to issue an internal ban, an extreme but necessary decision to preserve the clan's strength. Mangekyo Awakening misunderstood. We all know that the Mangekyo Sharingan is usually awakened when a Uchiha experiences extreme intense emotions. But here's the thing, not every Uchiha knew exactly how it worked. Think about it. Obito and Kakashi awakened their Mangekyo when they saw Rin die. Itachi's activated when he witnessed Shisui's death, and Shisui awakened his when he saw his best friend die. And here's something even crazier. During the Warring States period, when people were dying left and right, a lot of Uchiha awakened their Mangekyo. See the pattern? Somebody dies. At some point in history, many Uchiha misunderstood the process, believing that in order to awaken the Mangekyo, they had to witness the death of someone they loved. And since the Uchiha were always chasing greater power, some of them took it a step further. They caused those deaths themselves, killing their closest loved ones to unlock their eyes. Over time, this belief became even more twisted, to the point where people thought that killing a loved one was the only way to awaken the Mangekyo. And that's why, at one point in history, some Uchiha literally started killing each other for power. Uchiha Police Force versus Anbu. The conflict between the Uchiha-run Konoha police force and the ANBU is one of the deepest but least talked about tensions in Leaf Village history. The police force was originally created by Tobirama Senju as a way to empower the Uchiha by giving them control over village security. But in reality, it was a clever way to keep the clan in check, limiting their influence to civilian matters. Compared to the ANBU, an elite force that reported directly to the Hokage, the Uchiha police were often at a disadvantage in major situations. The tension only grew worse as ANBU frequently ignored the Uchiha police's authority when handling high-level missions. While the Uchiha took pride in maintaining order in the village, the ANBU operated as a separate force, answering only to the Hokage and working in secrecy. This power struggle became even more personal when Itachi Uchiha joined the ANBU and served under the Hokage instead of supporting his own clan's police force. Over time, this power imbalance became one of the main reasons for the Uchiha's growing resentment. After the Nine Tails attack, they were egged to the outskirts of the village and placed under constant surveillance, mostly by the ANBU, reinforcing the belief that they were being unfairly treated. To make matters worse, Danzo used the ANBU to secretly spy on the Uchiha, turning them from enforcers of the law into targets of suspicion. This tense relationship is a prime example of how Konoha used political structures to control and limit the Uchiha's power. While other clans like the Hyuga or Nara were free to develop in their own fields, the Uchiha were locked into law enforcement, a position that seemed prestigious on the surface, but was really just an invisible cage. Fugaku's loyalty. Yeah, Fugaku Uchiha, the leader of the Uchiha clan and the mastermind behind the coup, was once a loyal shinobi of the Hidden Leaf. During the race for the fourth Hokage position, Fugaku was a strong candidate. He had the talent, experience, and full support of his clan, but he wasn't even considered. Instead, the title went to Minato Namikaze, and honestly, Minato deserved it. But unlike Madara, who rebelled when he felt betrayed, Fugaku accepted the decision. He put the stability of the village above his own ambitions and his clan's pride. However, his loyalty was tested during the Nine Tails attack. As the head of the Uchiha police force, Fugaku wanted to help defend the village. He knew how to control a tailed beast using the Sharingan, and he was ready to fight. But the village leaders didn't trust him. They ordered the Uchiha to stay on the outskirts, fearing that the clan itself might be behind the attack. And yeah, Obito was the one controlling the Nine Tails, but the rest of the Uchiha were innocent. This wasn't just an insult to the clan. It was proof that Konoha's leaders never truly trusted them, and things only got worse. After the attack, the Uchiha were forced to relocate to the outskirts of the village under the excuse of rebuilding Konoha. In reality, it was surveillance and isolation, because the village still believed the Uchiha were responsible for the disaster. This was the final straw that pushed the clan toward their coup. The more loyal Fugaku was, the more he was mistrusted and isolated. He remained silent, choosing peace over rebellion, until he could no longer do so. In the end, despite wanting to protect both his clan and the village, he failed to save either. The Uchiha's untold pride. There's a cultural trait of the Uchiha that often gets overlooked. Their extreme pride, so strong that they'd rather die than let their clan's honor be stained. Back in the Warring States era, the Uchiha rarely wore heavy armor like the Senju. Not because they thought the Sharingan made them untouchable, but because they refused to cover their clan's emblem, the paper fan, symbolizing their burning fighting spirit. While the Senju prioritized practicality, wearing thick armor to stay alive, the Uchiha chose thin cloaks with their crest proudly displayed, willing to risk their safety just to make sure their identity was seen on the battlefield. This pride reached its most tragic expression through Itachi Uchiha's decision. He didn't just massacre his clan because the Hokage ordered him to. There was a deeper reason: protecting the Uchiha's honor. In Itachi Shinden, he believed that if the Uchiha launched a coup and failed, they would forever be remembered as traitors. By taking the blame himself, Itachi saved the Uchiha's legacy. Instead of being seen as rebels, they would be victims. This was the ultimate sacrifice. He chose to live in disgrace so the Uchiha name could be remembered with dignity. It's a painful paradox that only makes sense when you understand Uchiha culture. This unshakable pride is what ultimately led to the clan's downfall. After the Nine-Tails attack, when they were isolated and mistrusted, the Uchiha had a choice: accept and make peace or fight back. Their wounded pride pushed them to plan a coup instead. The Uchiha never bowed to anyone, a trait that was both admirable and tragic. That's why every great Uchiha, Madara, Obito, Sasuke, chose to stand against the world rather than compromise their beliefs. Pride was their cultural DNA, shaping their every decision and, in the end, sealing their fate. Tobi's killing spree. In the bloody history of the Naruto world, the Uchiha massacre is always linked to one name: Itachi, the 13-year-old genius who wiped out his clan for a mission. But there's a dark truth hidden behind Itachi's tragedy. Tobi, Obito Uchiha, actually killed more Uchiha than Itachi that night. This fact is often overlooked by fans, but it's a crucial piece of the puzzle that explains everything. No matter how skilled a 13-year-old is, it's almost impossible for him to single-handedly wipe out an entire powerful clan in just one night. In reality, Tobi, who was calling himself Madara at the time, took care of most of the strong Uchiha ninja, while Itachi mainly dealt with his parents and a few others. The way the two carried out the massacre shows just how terrifying Tobi's role was. Itachi, despite following orders, still tried to minimize pain for his victims and spared Sasuke's life. Meanwhile, Tobi had no moral limits. He killed indiscriminately, without hesitation or mercy. In Itachi Shinden, he's described as a hunter in the shadows, using Kamui to appear and disappear like a ghost, giving his victims no chance to fight back. In Naruto Shippuden, there's even a chilling scene of Tobi moving at terrifying speed between dead bodies, a truly nightmarish image. Their motivations were also completely different, shaping the entire story that followed. Itachi killed out of duty and love, to protect Konoha from civil war and save Sasuke from their clan's fate. Tobi, on the other hand, killed out of pure hatred and took advantage of the massacre to manipulate Itachi into joining Akatsuki. Kagami Uchiha. Kagami Uchiha was one of the rare exceptions to Tobirama Senju's distrust of the Uchiha clan. In fact, he was the only Uchiha Tobirama truly trusted. Kagami even served as a member of the second Hokage's personal guard during the First Great Ninja War, a huge sign of respect and confidence. Kagami proved himself worthy of this trust through his strategic brilliance and absolute loyalty. During the battle against Kinkaku's squad from the Hidden Cloud, Kagami was the one who came up with the baiting strategy that saved the entire team. And here's something most people might not know. Kagami was actually the direct ancestor of Uchiha Shisui. Not only did Shisui inherit incredible power, but he also carried on Kagami's ideals and will of fire. While most Uchiha were often consumed by hatred and ambition, both Kagami and Shisui chose to protect the village and pursue peace, a mindset that was extremely rare in their clan. The greatest tragedy of Kagami's life was his early death at the age of 25, a huge loss for both the Leaf Village and the Uchiha clan. As one of the few figures who could have bridged the gap between the Uchiha and the Senju, his death may have cost the village a critical opportunity for peace. If he had lived longer, maybe the Uchiha's fate could have been different, and the massacre might never have happened. Uchiha Secret Locations. The Uchiha clan isn't just famous for their Sharingan and combat skills. They also have a network of secret locations full of surprises. One of the most notable spots is Naka Shrine. At first glance, it looks like a regular shrine, but underneath the 7th tatami mat lies a shocking secret. A hidden stone tablet containing the mysteries of the Sharingan. Only those with special dojutsu can read it. More than just a meeting place for the Uchiha, Naka Shrine is a treasure trove of knowledge, where Itachi guided Sasuke on his path to unlocking the Mangekyo Sharingan. Then there's Soraku, Sky District, an abandoned city that secretly houses one of the Uchiha's most unexpected allies, the Cat Clan, led by Nekoba. Unlike ordinary ninja allies, these cats specialize in supplying rare weapons and gear, forming a unique underground supply chain. Through Denka and Hina, two ninja cats, the Uchiha maintained an independent weapon source, boosting their overall strength. Of course, we can't forget the Uchiha hideout, the stage for the legendary final battle between Sasuke and Itachi. This massive fortress, marked with mysterious fox symbols, was a military base and was a remnant of the Uchiha's golden age. The fox imagery might even hint at the clan's deep connection to Madara's control over the Nine Tails, adding another layer of meaning to this historic location. And finally, there's Uchiha Senbei, a rare peaceful corner in the clan's otherwise intense history. This little rice cracker shop was run by Taiyaki and Uruchi Uchiha, until they too were tragically killed in the Uchiha massacre. A mix of mystery, power, and even a touch of everyday life, the Uchiha clan had it all. Indra's Uchiha legacy. There's a mind-blowing truth buried in the pages of Naruto. The Uchiha clan isn't just famous for their legendary Sharingan. They are the direct descendants of the man who created ninjutsu itself, Indra Otsutsuki. Indra, the eldest son of the Sage of Six Paths, was the first to turn chakra from a tool for connection into a weapon for battle. Before Indra, chakra was only used as Hagoromo intended, a way to bring people together. But with his genius mind and the Sharingan he inherited from his father, Indra invented hand signs and jutsu, laying the foundation for every ninja technique we see in Naruto. This completely changes how we see the ninja world. Every technique, from Naruto's Rasengan to Sasuke's Chidori, can be traced back to the original creation of the Uchiha ancestor. But this great invention came with a dark and tragic side. Unlike his younger brother, Asura, who believed in love and teamwork, Indra used ninjutsu to enforce his own will, believing that power was the only true path to peace. In the anime, we clearly see Indra turning his jutsu against his own brother, marking the beginning of a conflict that would last for thousands of years. Ninjutsu quickly spread from person to person, clan to clan, and eventually became a tool of war during the Warring States period. What started as a way to gain personal strength ended up fueling centuries of bloodshed. Even Hagoromo himself admitted he never expected ninjutsu to be abused like this, a mistake that came from his own son. Indra's legacy isn't just about the creation of ninjutsu. It's deeply woven into the mindset and philosophy of the Uchiha clan. The so-called curse of hatred that Tobirama spoke of isn't some mystical curse. It's a direct result of Indra's belief that individual power is the ultimate goal. From Madara to Sasuke, every great Uchiha has followed this philosophy, chasing power at any cost. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.